Welcome to Real Women's Stories. Today's topic is skincare and what should your teens use?
Unfortunately, a lot of these companies are just selling products. And like I said, they're not for every skin type or every person. And teenagers tend to be the ones that are sucked into packaging.
This topic is extremely close to my heart. It's something that has really touched me. And I'm sure as a parent, it's touched a lot of parents who have got teenage girls and boys who have and do suffer with acne.
You're going to really want to be just looking at controlling the oil gland, keeping the skin clean, and just gently exfoliating the skin.
This is Real Women's Stories. My youngest suffers and still does with severe acne. We have been through a really long journey in terms of her mental health, self-esteem, and also trying to find the right products for her skin that she can use that, from a very young age, from the age of 14 years old, where do we find a product that can help us or help our children? I am going to be interviewing Danielle Dickinson. She runs a practice called SKINBOSS, and she is the boss of skin. Danielle has had a massive impact on my life and my daughter's life. She has been a complete lifesaver in terms of helping us understand our skin health, our gut health. It's been a complete holistic approach on how we've worked out what's right for our skin, the protocols. It's not just me, it's my whole family. My husband even uses the products too. And it's really about being consistent and following a protocol. And with that, Danielle is going to share with you all of her insights and her scientific facts that she knows, but breaking it down into layman's terms so that we can understand as women what all this stuff means. So let's find out what products our teens should be using.
So age 19, I started my beauty course, quickly passed, then with other jobs, just developed and found that from each job, I kind of found my niche, and it was very much health, skincare. I'm actually a colon hydrotherapist as well. So that is also your bowel health.
Okay.
So the gut, so you pass water through the bowel, it cleanses it out, takes away the toxins. And it's just because it's so closely related with what's going on in your gut health to your skin. So it all kind of linked together. But I then just found my passion just with laser therapy, peels, the real more advanced skincare. And the passion for it just grew. And it's the knowledge. I love the science.
So take me back though, because there must have been a point in your life where you, wanted to kind of get into skincare.
I'd say throughout my career, I've hit a few bumps in the road with my skin. So at a very young age, I was put on the contraceptive pill, which kind of masks a lot of issues. And as a recurrence from it, I basically just erupted in horrendous cystic acne all across my jawline, in hard boils. Went back to the doctors and they explained that I could have been that 1 in 1,000. So I then had to work on correcting it, come off the contraception again. So then my hormones were imbalanced again. So I had to target that. As a side effect of being on the contraceptive pill, something that it's not widely known, it is on the packaging and in the leaflets, it's actually a photosensitizing drug, which means you're more prone to UV sensitivity. And as a result, I ended up with hyperpigmentation later on in my sort of mid-20s, which is you shouldn't really see it in your mid-20s. It's normally late 40s, 50s, you start seeing those pigmentational issues. Being a photosensitive and very naive when I was 16, 17, going on sunbeds, I ended up with melanoma skin cancer. So I've had a few things go on with my skin where I've had to really understand why it happened, what's going on. When I learned why things happened, that sort of ignited a passion into, I like knowing how things tick and how can you correct it. And also it just came from just in my career where you have helped people, it's kind of a bit of a buzz when someone goes, thank you, you've changed my life. And sometimes there'd be tears, but it made me feel good, and it felt good to make other people feel good again and make them feel better about it, and just having that understanding.
I don't think we really appreciate how much our skin affects us, because that is the part of our body that we look at every day. I think it's very interesting that you've gone through your journey, which seems quite intense, and that must have caused a lot of problems with your own self-esteem.
Massively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess you feel so, I guess, enlightened when somebody sort of said, Dan, thanks so much for helping me out, because actually you have this powerful knowledge to help other people and help other sort of younger people navigate through their teens up through their 20s and 30s. Because what you said as well was hormones play a huge effect.
Massively.
Hormones and our gut health, right? Those
Yeah.
are the two things. And I know that you've spoken to my daughter about it, and I've been very careful with concentrating on my gut health. So what would you advise a parent to help their child? Because a lot of these kids are going into, the high street retailers, and they're kind of looking for the different products. They don't really, first of all, I think it's just a minefield of different products that are out there. No one knows what to do. And secondly, are those products safe to be using if you've got acne? Are they going to help? What would your advice be to a mum with a teen that's going through any kind of acne breakout?
If it's very mild, you're going to really want to be just looking at controlling the oil gland, keeping the skin clean, and just gently exfoliating the skin. But the first point of call I always say is supplements, diet. So you want, when your diet is rich in vitamins and minerals, it helps balance your hormones.
Right.
Zinc is a fantastic supplement at helping to regulate the hormone levels. So the progesterone in girls and the testosterone in boys, which this is why boys get technically worse teenage acne, because their testosterone levels really skyrocket. But in the girls, it's the progesterone that stimulates the oil gland. So the oil gland enlarges and then is producing an excess of oil, and which is inflammatory to the skin, which is starting that inflammatory response, and you start seeing the issues arise. So your supplements, your omega-3s, vitamin D, zinc is always a good basis to start on. And then just really simply just get them cleansing with a proper prescriptive cleanser for their skin type.
Can I just interrupt? When you say a prescriptive cleanser, what does that mean? Because if anyone's listening, they'll be like, okay, fine. Does that mean I need to go to the doctor? Does that mean I can find them in the supermarkets or in the high street retailers? Or do we come to somebody like yourself?
A professional is always going to be able to guide you better.
Right.
Prescriptive basically means that it's for that specific person's skin type. So it doesn't matter if you just go, oh, well, I'm cleansing my face, and you're just using any old cleanser, because if it's the wrong cleanser for your skin type, it's going to unbalance your skin. And then you're going to cause the progression of more acne or sensitivity or dryness. So it's knowing actually what is your skin type, and because everybody is different. Someone like me or another professional would be able to advise on what's the right cleanser for them. Unfortunately, the cosmetic world is not as regulated, and they don't have to provide clinical papers. So they can literally just put out any product on the shelf, and whether it's actually going to do anything is a different matter.
Is there kind of a place where people would find you? So I'm just kind of going through those. Okay, so Danielle's basically said that I need to go and find a specialist. Where would I find somebody? Would I go online, and who would I Google in? Because I guess most people use the internet now to find services and providers.
So probably in your local area, you're looking for an esthetician or a skin clinic, essentially. And just, I would say, first thing is look at their reviews, look at the before and afters, check out their credentials and their qualifications, and then just go and have a chat with them, and find someone that you feel comfortable with, and then they'll be able to guide you and advise you on, because that's what they're trained in. Everything they do is skin.
And because we're talking about, I guess the younger generation who are earning money, who aren't earning money, would they have to pay for that first consultation? If it's something that they should expect when they first book an appointment, just so that people know?
Yeah, it varies. some people don't charge and some people do. It's personal preference on the practitioner. Unfortunately, a lot of places do have to charge because then they don't get what we call, it sounds awful to say, time wasters. They'll only get the people that are really serious and actually, I'm here, I really do want to change my skin. Because some people just, go for a consultation to just out of interest. And also you generally find those that are at a higher level in the market, they typically will charge as well for a consultation. However, you usually get other rewards, or if you move forward with treatment, you sometimes can redeem it back.
I just want to go back to sort of people who have suffered with acne, and there is a prescribed pill called Roaccutane.
Yeah.
Talk me through that, because I know a lot of parents go to a skin specialist or a dermatologist, and they will prescribe this chemical pill to somebody. What are the benefits? What are the downsides? And then what would you recommend instead of using that?
So Roaccutane's a derivative of vitamin A bit like retinoids, so retinols, tretinoin, but the Roaccutane is ingested, so it is a pill. It is fantastic at clearing acne, but it doesn't always work for everyone. But it is very, very powerful. And I would say it's very good for that type of acne where it is almost a cystic nodular, where you've got breakouts on top of breakouts and you can't even see the skin through it. So it's a very severe acne, but it must be used very, very carefully and monitored because it does come with a lot of health risks and side effects. So I get loads of patients that come in that have had it previously. Once you've been on it once or twice, they don't typically will re-prescribe it because of the effects it can have on the body. So you have to have liver testing. You have to have a pregnancy test every time you go because it's really dangerous. One of the biggest things with Roaccutane is the mental health. If you look up all the side effects, it will state that it can affect, cause anxiety, depression. And to put that on, especially when they're just giving them out to teenagers, I think it should be really carefully explained, because I don't think it's explained enough to the parents the risks of what they're signing off to put in their child.
How can we promote healthy skincare with teenagers? How can we educate them in enabling for them to feel happy and content with themselves? 1, 2, prevent them from choosing the wrong products in the high street, and 3, being, I guess, overwhelmed with what's going on social media and all of the I guess there's so many products that are being advertised on TikTok, kids kind of going, I've seen this great thing, it's been advertised on TikTok, our skin looks amazing. What would you say to somebody who's found a product on TikTok and they think, I'm going to invest in this, because I'm sure they don't know what's in that product, what the ingredients are?
I would say, just first point of all, go and see a professional, have a proper consultation, and then they can advise you, do you think this product would be good? Because they know what ingredients they're looking for. Unfortunately, a lot of these companies are just selling products. And like I said, they're not for every skin type or every person. And teenagers tend to be the ones that are sucked into packaging and the influencers as well. Unfortunately, a lot of influencers aren't professionals. So yes, they might have used a product. I always say, was they paid to use that product and advertise it? Unfortunately, that is part of the industry. So I
would say don't.
Don't. Yeah, I know it sounds awful, but just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
No.
Don't buy it. Go to a skin care professional.
Yeah.
If you have an issue with your skin and you really want to make a change, don't invest that money, because that money, I guess, on that product could be well spent on a consultation if someone's going to charge you a consultation.
Yeah.
So the advice would be, just don't do it.
Just don't do it. Coming back to like the cosmetic and cosmeceutical world, Cosmetic, it's not regulated. So they can put all these extra ingredients in there that can be potentially harmful. Whereas like your cosmeceutical brands are clinically proven using FDA approved ingredients. So they're much more regulated and safer to use anyway. Unfortunately, the thing with the teens of today is they're using these active ingredients such as hydroxy acids, glycolic, salicylic, retinols, but a teenage skin acts very differently to an adult skin. So an adult, their skin function's slowing down. So we're using these active ingredients to speed it up. A younger skin is already, functioning at quite a high level. Unless they've got a severe acne, I would never say for them to really be using the same level and doses as an adult unless they really need to, which comes back to why the professionals will guide them. So they're going out, they're using these retinols, these hydroxy acids.
What's the effect on them long term? So if you're, and I guess as parents, we don't want to question our teens too much, but if we went into their bedroom and saw them that they were using a retinol and they were like 16, long term, what would happen to that 16-year-old? Would they then, what's that word when you become, when you've used something too much? My menno brains.
I've gone brain dead on that one as well.
When you use something too much, you become immune to it.
Yeah. So some things they could become resistant to.
Yeah.
Not essentially with retinols, but if they was using a tretinoin or a benzoyl peroxide, they could become resistant to it.
I'm going to ask you, what is a benzoyl peroxide? So would it be listed on the back of a packet?
Yes,
right.
That one you would see it straight away.
Fine.
They're just products that with long-term use you can show resistance to, but they're very, very strong, very, very powerful. Benzoyl peroxide is actually being moved into the prescription world, so you probably won't be able to get it in those high doses anyway. So coming back to the teenagers and what would happen is you're overstimulating skin, which can impair their barrier function. So it can make it sensitive, weak, sore, dry. You basically can damage the skin if you do too much to it at that age.
If anyone's listening to this, regardless of whatever budget they've got, what are the main steps that any person, be it boy or girl or woman or man, should follow, within their skincare regime?
Okay, so there is different levels. I'd say the very, very least you should be cleansing with a cleanser for your skin type. So it's understanding your skin type and what cleanser is going to help you with that. And sunscreen. They're your first basis. And that's just to protect the skin. So you're cleansing properly, you're cleaning it, and you're protecting it.
So you wouldn't get a moisturiser wrong, because my thoughts are cleanse, tone, moisturise. That's the standard, right?
Yeah. So then if you could do a little bit more, I think you should be exfoliating and you should be stimulating your internal hydration. Now, moisturisers are a big no-no for me. The overuse of conventional moisturisers actually weaken the skin's barrier, causing more dehydration in the skin and creating a world of what I call moisturised junkies. So what it is I'm going to use my hands to describe it as well. Okay. So when you flood the skin with artificial hydration, it's got loads of oils and that artificial hydration, it sends a message down to the lower levels saying, I've got loads of oil and water up here. You do not need to give me anything. So it sends a message down to the lower level saying, don't give me any more. Your dermis, which I call is your living part of your skin, your reservoir of water, hydration, nutrients, it stops delivering all the goodness up. Right. So then your skin's reliant on artificial hydration to keep hydrating it. And that just adds some fuels to the issue, and you're creating a weaker skin barrier, which allows more harmful things into the skin and causes dehydration. So water's being evaporated from the skin.
So what do we use instead?
So you're looking for creams with like lipids and proteins in. You're generally going to find that more with your medical brands. Okay. That you're going to get from a skin specialist who can advise, but definitely not using a moisturiser daily. Okay. However, if you're going through some winter seasonal effects, or your skin needs a little bit of support, like when using retinols yourself, you sometimes need a little bit of extra hydration. And that's when moisturizers do come in to play. Actually, if you want to hydrate your skin and look after your barrier, you should exfoliate it.
So it's wash and then sunscreen. But then if you do a little bit more, it's wash, exfoliate, get a cream, not a moisturizer, from a skin specialist.
Yeah.
And then if during the winter you're drier, or if you are using a retinol,
then you use a moisturizer just for an extra bit of support.
But not every day.
Okay.
So if anyone was listening to this, where can they get hold of you, Danielle? What's your...
SKINBOSSLTD.co.uk. But if you find me on Instagram, that's where my most current everything I do is uploaded.
Yeah. You are a very busy lady as well, and I know that you really take care of your patients, and we do, we are your patients, and you have been a massive just encouragement in my daughter's life, and I don't think she could have gone through her acne without you. You've been so supportive, and dealing with, she was 14 at the time when we met. That's quite hard, but you were so good at just letting her be, and you knew she had to work it out for herself and guide, because as teenagers, first of all, they don't trust what they see as well because of Instagram and all the social media stuff. But the way that you have been able to deal with, I think, people of all ages, I think it's fantastic. So thank you so much. You're doing so much good in this wellness community. And I know that people can have online consultations with you as well.
Yeah.
So if you can't see them in person, you can do like a Zoom chat with them.
Yeah.
And they'll send you pictures.
Yeah, I've got clients all over the country.
Exactly. So definitely SKINBOSS. You are the boss of skin, Danielle.
Yeah, I'm a bit bossy as well.
You are, I know.
I'm like, do it right.
I actually hope that this episode will give either grandparents or parents the encouragement and confidence to have a discussion, open up that channel of conversation with their kids or their grandkid. Ask them, what products are you using? I listened to this really interesting podcast. They talked about all these different kind of products that were out there in the market, and some of them were quite harsh and evasive. What products are you using? That's quite a nice conversational opener. And if your child or your grandchild doesn't actually know the ingredients within the products, ask that question. Try and get them to educate themselves and have a look in their bathroom cabinet and start questioning and asking themselves, do I understand what's in these products that I'm using? Should I be using these products? Is this the right product to use for my skin type? And if it's not, hey mum, hey grandma, where would I find out this information? We'd love to hear your feedback on this episode, and of course on any of the other episodes that we've recorded of Real Women's Stories. You can leave us a review and you can give us a rating. If you go to the main podcast title within any of the apps that you're using and you scroll down, you should be able to see a review section where you can write some comments, write a review. Let us know your thoughts, because we kind of need to know that if you're enjoying a particular episode that you've listened to, if you want to hear more about that subject, or if there's another subject that we haven't covered that you would like us to interview, or if there's a guest that you know of. Leave us a comment or a review. And if you are enjoying it, please leave us a rating, because it really does help us spread the word about the podcast within the wider community. And the best way for you not to miss an episode is to hit the follow or the subscribe button on one of the apps that you're listening on, and it should give you a reminder of when the next episode drops, and then you will be able to hear us next time on Real Women's Stories.